Hello, and thank you for tuning in today. Today, we're going to be talking about print concepts, which are a part of foundational reading skills. We are going to identify first what are foundational reading skills and why they are important, and then we're going to dive into print concepts. If you want your child to comprehend different level of text, meaning books, they have to have the foundations. When building a house, the foundation is the first level. That's the same for reading comprehension. You have to identify the first level if you want your child to be able to comprehend what they are reading. That is why we're going to discuss the foundational reading skills. Now, let's quickly recap what we're going to discuss today. We're going to talk about why foundational reading skills are important. We're going to speak on what are foundational reading skills, and then we're going to dive into print concepts. The different components of foundational reading skills are print concepts, phonological awareness, phonics and word recognition, and fluency. Today we're going to speak on print concepts, but remember to tune in for the next couple of weeks while we talk about phonological awareness, phonics and word recognition, and fluency. When learning about print concepts, you must remember these three key components. One, understand that print is organized in a particular way. Two, print is read from left to right and top to bottom. And three, word consists of letters and spaces which appear between the words. We just mentioned that print is organized in different ways, which will build on book concepts. For book concepts, it is identifying the front and back of a book and the title. Now, this is what I want you to do when you're working with your child at home with book concepts. I have a book here. I'm just going to use this random book. And you have to ask your child specific questions. Now, I already bulleted some on the side for you to ask your child. So you can just go along and practice these at home during your leisure. And then when you want to be able to work with your child on book concepts, just remember to come back and ask these questions. Show me the front of the book. Now, when you hand the child the book, you can hand it to them backwards. You can hand it to them any way you want. But then they have to be able to say, this is the front of the book. Next, you're going to say, show me the back of the book. The child has to be able to flip the book over and point and say, this is the back of the book. And then you will ask the child to show you the name of the book or the title of the story. The child has to once again know where to flip the book and then point to the title of the story. Now we're going to be talking about directionality concepts. That means identifying where to begin reading, the reading direction, which is from left to right, and which direction will you continue to read. So now here are some simple questions that I want you to ask your child while you're working with them at home. First one, show me with your finger, where do I begin reading? So your child's going to open the book. They're going to find the first page. Once they find the first page, they're going to point with their finger, and they should be pointing to the first word because this is where you will begin reading or they will begin reading. Next, you're going to say, show me with your finger which way I go as I read. And remember, the child should be going left to right. So that means they're moving along. As long as they're going left to right, they're showing you they understand when you read that you're moving from left to right. And then the last question you can ask them is, show me where do I go next? So then you will say, if we just finished reading the word juice, where are we going to go next? Hopefully the child will point to mommy and not come to the last word of the sentence and say, we're going to start with ass. Because your child should be able to know that we're going to start right here at the beginning of the sentence. We're going to end at the punctuation mark, and then we're going to begin at the next first part of the sentence, and then we're going to end at the punctuation mark. So This is directionality concepts, identifying where to begin reading, the reading direction from left to right, and then which direction will we continue reading. So once we finish, we're going to go from here, and then we're going to move to here. Now, reading concepts is when you have the one-to-one tracking of the words by pointing. So for this activity, you're basically going to have your child use their pointer finger, and they're going to be pointing as you read or pointing as they read. But we're going to always start out with them pointing as you read. So here's the book that we're going to use. Now, we're going to point as we read, and you will say, show me where I start reading. So the child, once again, will have to point to the first word inside of the book. Then you're going to say, point to each word while I read the words aloud. So now it is your turn to model for your child what a fluent reader sounds like. And then also they are pointing to the word so they can identify each word. Like, yeah, she moved from one word to another word. So my finger should be moving from one word to another word. That is how you track. So for example, in this story, Jasmine and Jessica, what do you have? So while I am reading, the child should be pointing to each word. Now, you will not read fast. You're going to read slow, but it will still be fluent. So that way the child can make the connection. She just said a word. My finger should be on this word. She just said another word. My finger should be moving to the next word. So we're going to try it again. I'm going to read the next sentence. Mommy, I am eating some apple slices. Now, this is how you should practice with your child at home for reading concepts. You read aloud, your child will point as you are reading. Just like I am talking, I'm not talking very fast, but I'm not talking very slow. So that is how you should be reading. So that way your child can track what you are reading and point while you are reading. Concepts of letters and words means being able to find the first and last word on the page and the first and last letter in a word. So for this, you will have your child turn to a page in the book, and then you will ask your child, show me the first letter in the word. So we have the first word here. I'll move to this word. It's can. So they have to point to the first letter, which is C. So they have to point, and then they can also tell you it is C. Next, you would say, show me the last letter in the word. So in the word can, they would have to point to the last letter, which is the N. And then they can also say N. Next, show me the first word on the page. And then they will come back and they will point to the first word on the page. And then show me the last word on the page. And then they would have to find the last word and point to the last word on the page. This is concepts of letters and words, just being able to identify the different letters and their positioning and the words in their positioning. Punctuation marks, being able to identify capital and lowercase letters, periods, question marks, exclamation marks, commas, and quotation marks. Now, when working with this skill, make sure you pick a page that actually has the punctuation marks that you were desiring to work with. So in this book, this page is perfect because it has quotation marks, question marks. So I would ask my child and point to a question mark and say, what is this called? And they would have to say, a question mark. Then I have some quotation marks. What is this called? A quotation mark. And then I might go back to the question mark and say, now, what is this used for? And they would have to tell me. It means that it is asking a question. And then I would go to the quotation marks and point to the quotation marks. What is this symbol used for? And they would have to tell me. It represents somebody speaking. So you can do this throughout your book. Just pick whichever page you want to work on. If you want to work on punctuation marks, then find a page that has a lot of punctuation marks. Periods. I'm sorry. And then if you want to do exclamation marks, find a page that has exclamation marks on it. But just make sure you ask the child, what is it called and what is it used for? I hope you enjoyed this session. Please tune in next week for our session on phonological awareness. Until then, see you later.